Hey guys, Kmart Magic here. Just wanted to make this video talking about what I think about the current contest. So I've been playing this game for a long time. I started December of 2015, right when they were adding Root. So I've been at this a while. Again, my account progression kind of shows that with my rating and my roster. Not as much so with my content progression. I'm not as good as I should be, but that's alright. It's kind of a casual player, as I've mentioned before. So, I know there's been a lot of changes throughout the contest, especially since I started playing. Some of them good, some of them I don't think as good. For example, one of them, let's see here real quick, is a lot of people aren't going to remember this. When you upgraded, you used to only have 6 slots to upgrade. Not all these with the smart select and the select all options. You can only put in 6 ISO at a time, and that took a while, which that's definitely a good quality of life upgrade. Stuff like that. Another good quality of life one is the auto fight feature for easier quests, being able to go into something a lot easier or something, and just being able to auto play it and everything, and it'll just continue on its own. You don't have to really touch it until it finish. So again, I think that's a very good quality of life feature. Recently, though, I've been noticing different things. So first, I want to go into my experience of the contest. I didn't really film any of this in, but so when I started, Act 1 was not just in one chapter, it was the 4. Same with Act 2 and 3. They're all the 4 chapters, 6 levels each. And the rewards weren't what they were today. You didn't get the 3-star cap or all these other things type of stuff. It was a lot different. I remember I didn't get a 3-star till halfway through Act 2 for my first 3-star. And there's a 3-star Gamora. And then my second 3-star was a 3-star Ronin. And I used those to get all the way through Act 3. My first 4-star I got after completing Act 4, which it wasn't this full 4-star crystal. The only way you got this was from defeating Thanos at the end. So it was the very last level gave the full 4-star crystal, not the 4-star Nexus or this current one. But I built enough shards and everything that after my first run through of Act 3, I got my first 4-star. It was a 4-star Groot, of all people. Yeah, not the best champion, still not the best champion, but it was my experience, and I enjoyed it. I used him to finish going back through Acts 1 through 3 and 100% him. And then I go on to Act 4. I don't remember who my second 4-star was, but I remember my first 5-star. It was a 5-star Drax. I got him, I think it was either after Chapter 1 or 2 of Act 4. I don't remember exactly. And Drax is not the best champion. Then shortly after I got my second 5-star, which was a 5-star Magneto, and this was pre-buff Magneto, so he was garbage, completely, barely usable champion. But it's what I had, so I made do with what I had. Eventually progressed and stuff, got more 4-stars. I remember getting a 4-star Magic, and she carried me through most of Act 4 and into Act 5. Still really like Magic to this day. But I say that for a specific thing. I've made a second account that's newer, about 2 or 3 years ago, and I started playing through again. And I noticed there's things really different. I understand my first experience was very unique in the sense that I didn't get champs as quickly as other people, as in like high level champs. I remember seeing newer people, even in my second account. My second account wasn't even up, it's not even up to uncollected, but I already have a 6-star on that account. So being able to get higher tier people quicker, I've seen people start an account at 1 and already had 2 or 3 4-stars, or in some cases even a 5-star by Act 2. And well, I do think this is good. It's exciting to get the new characters and the higher tiers and stuff. I think it's a little too quick of a progression. One thing I liked about my particular experience is since it took me so long to get each type of champion, I was able to build up the resources to actually take them up. For example, I know you can do that now, all the new account challenges and stuff, seeing all of those, you're able to take those champs up. But I was able to do it on a bigger scale in a sense. So because I had 2-stars for so long, I was able to take them up to max levels and still utilize them for a while. And then 3-stars, I was able to have them for long enough where I was able to get a full team of 3-stars maxed out before I was able to start utilizing 4-stars and so on and so on. And I think that was very good for me. One is it let me enjoy each star level I had. And two, I didn't progress so quickly where I got stuck. Where in my newer account when I did make it, which was also one of the reasons I stopped doing it, that and again time commitments, but I was getting all these 5 and 6 stars, but I didn't have the resources to take them up because I hadn't spent the time building them up. Yes, you can still get them, but it is a lot harder. Where I was at then, I could build up stuff at 3 and 4 stars very easily. But 5 and 6 stars, I understand it's supposed to be harder, but if those are the champs they're going to give me, why would you not want to use the better champs? But then it kind of sucks because you can't do anything with them until you get to later game content. If you have a 5 or 6 star in Act 2, he's sitting at rank 1 until you get through a lot of Act 4. Which I think that's an issue for newer players, and I think if I was a newer player coming in, that would kind of push me away from the game. Is one, the lack of difficulty in having to use lower level people against higher fights, and having higher level people that you can't do anything with. So that's my first kind of observation here. Second one is I don't think all these should have been shortened. I think they should have been kept at the 4 chapters, 6 levels each. I'm okay with a lot of the reward buffs. Mostly, again, I think it's a little too quick, especially with these Nexus crystals and stuff. Being able to select a new player is not going to know what those are. It was nice for me. Again, my champions were not great. Gamora used to not be the best champions, especially my 4 and 5 stars. Groot, Drax, Magneto, like I listed before, they were not good champions, but I learned how to use them, and were able to enjoy playing with them regardless of which champions I had, because I had such few ones. Now it's totally different. If you don't get a good champion, you're not going to use them because you have such easy access. And the Nexus crystals too. Why would you ever want to pick a group outside of expanding your roster after you've already had the other 249 champs that are in the game? Or if he gets a really good buff sometime soon. So I think the Nexus crystals should be dialed back. While I do like them for endgame content, especially you have most of the characters, you have 200 out of the 250 characters, Nexus crystals make sense. But when you're first starting out, the Nexus crystals don't really make sense. And then this one, I think they should again dial back on the 4 stars a little bit. But again, these are all just my opinions, especially the rake up materials. It's again the quicker processing that kind of takes away the challenge of the game. And again, Act 3 also, I think they should have made it to 4 chapters instead of 2. Now we move on to Act 4. Act 4, again, I think the rewards got a little too big of a boost with the 5-star crystals. It used to be, I believe it was like 2,500 shards for completion, and I think either 5,000 or 7,500 for exploration. Someone's going to have to correct me. And you did not get this 5-star awakening gem or these rank up materials and stuff. You did get the catalyst, but it's definitely a big increase. I think those are a little too high. I understand they're trying to push people to uncollected, but I feel like it was a little too far of a step. My second thing, one quality of life update I did like about this is changing it from 3 energy per space to 2. These are very long levels. But there is one other complaint I had, and I don't remember which level it was. I'll see if I can find it. But they've removed a lot of the more challenging fights. And you can tell they've removed a lot of fights in general. But there used to be, again, older players are going to know this, the Slash Tires node Juggernaut. I don't remember which quest it's in, but I remember watching old YouTubers like Wabanka and Rizzo the Legend and Dorky Diggity Dave a long time ago, Rich the Man, again, all the older YouTubers and stuff, and seeing videos of this level and wanting to try it. So I did my first run through normal, and then my second run through, I went for the Slash Tires nose Juggernaut. And it took a while. It was a lot of effort, and that fight was probably as hard as, if not harder than, the Maestro for me at least. But I beat it. And I felt so accomplished that I was able to beat this quest. All these YouTubers I watched, so it was so challenging and stuff, and they made all these videos dedicated to it and things. But I was able to push through and beat it. It was an accomplishing feeling. And then when I went back to 100%, they had removed that fight entirely. That the Juggernaut was still there, but all the nodes weren't. And it kind of made me a little bit sad. One, I don't want to say this in the sense of I suffered, so now new players have to as well. They have to go through the same thing I do. But more of in the sense that it's kind of a rite of passage. Kind of like Realm of Legends was, which I never got through that until I had watched London Town from Mr. Gaming Family do it. And again, I know he did it really late and he could have been able to do it sooner. I probably could have as well, but seeing him kind of inspired me to do it, just like seeing those YouTubers do the slash tires juggernaut pushed me to do it. And I kind of felt sad for newer players that they don't get to experience that. One, the challenge, and they're able to learn new nodes such as slash tires. Not that it really comes up a lot. Now it's more of like cow traps and stuff. But the accomplishment felt after defeating a really difficult challenge. I liked that, and I'm kind of sad that they took that away. And then from what I've heard, the Maestro level, they've also made it totally different, where all the fights leading up to it are harder. Again, they've changed the characters. Ant-Man used to not be there, and there's the same characters on each path, I believe. So they changed the characters around entirely. I haven't played this in a while, but yeah, they made the fights leading up to it more difficult than the actual boss, which I think should go back to the way it was. Just my 2 cents on that. Act 5, recently they removed Bane and Masochism, which, again, I understand why they are very difficult nodes, but just like when they nerfed in Act 6, the champion fight, it takes away a challenge and then an accomplishment thing. I remember Act 6 coming out and seeing all the YouTubers doing their speedruns and stuff, or Legends and stuff, and seeing them try for the champion fight and having to figure it out as they're going because no one has done it before, and figuring out which champions worked and which ones didn't, and seeing all the new YouTube videos that came out after recommending how to fight the champion and all these things. And then they kind of took away the challenge, so there's less of that accomplishing feeling there, that you've seen all these other people struggle with this and get through, and if you can do it too, it shows a level of skill that you're up there with them. You're able to push through this challenge that everyone else saw as difficult. That's kind of my view of the Masochism and Bane nodes, as well as a learning experience, getting used to it and learning how to play around it. It teaches a new play style. I like the things where you have to specifically move different. For example, reverse controls. I know I hate fighting it, but it's a very cool concept. Or the Grandmaster fight at the end of Act 6 was a very cool concept. The mini game having to actually fight differently rather than just hardest hitting champion, you actually have to use some strategy and stuff. And I remember before they changed a lot of Act 4, friends of mine that I got hooked onto the game before they quit, saying Act 4 is where you needed skill, where you first started needing skill, which I agree with. Outside of the Thanos fight was a little rough, and for some people I know the Collector one, or King fight was. But Act 4 is where it took a step up, and I remember when Act 5 came out, it was a huge step up. That, again, the first fights were higher than the Maestro was in rating. They've nerfed those too. They've cut all their PIs in half, basically. Which, again, kind of makes me a little sad. It was an intimidating feature having such high ratings on all those champions, but it was fun. It was a good challenge, and I remember getting through it and feeling accomplished. I was able to complete this new challenge that came out. So I think that's one thing there's a disconnect of in the contest right now, is the creators are trying to gear things to pushing newer players to the upper echelons, to get to Act 6, Act 7, Act 8, all those things, but without letting them experience the same journey we did. Not in the sense of we suffered, they have to, but in the enjoyment of the contest and enjoying the challenge and learning the skills and all this stuff. They're not getting the same experience. It's not as fulfilling for them, I think. But again, they don't necessarily know that because, again, they never got to experience it. They don't really know what they're missing out on. And I think that was something they needed to not change. And again, watching old videos, I recently stumbled upon Rizzo the Legend again, and even got to play Battlegrounds with him, which it's really fun getting to see all these older YouTubers still enjoying the game. And I remember when London Town quit and then he came back for a while, and Crazy Daisy too, and seeing the content they made and them push, Atomix the Analyzer, following him through his journey and stuff, and hoping to learn Perfect Intercept like he did. And just seeing all the changes throughout it, and again, aspiring for that skill level, where now it's a little different. Now, while I do enjoy the current ones like Brian Grant or Seaton or Legacy, and seeing that skill level, it's a different type of skill. It's, again, they're able to, with the various resources, get to the best champions. Which one thing I like about Brian Grant is he doesn't always pick the best ones. He picks the ones he likes, which I kind of agree with. I pick a lot of ones I like rather than the best ones. And I kind of like that being, or like the new account things. Like I said when I started, not being dealt the best hand, but learning how to play with it anyways. Some of these fights, I do like that you have to have a specific counter. But having that specific counter is a little rough too. Rather than having, if you don't have a good roster in a sense, being able to use any champion and get through it. I agree there needs to be a balance of the two. But I don't think there should be specific characters. For example, Hercules that can just get through anything. Hercules is a little broken. Do I think he needs to be nerfed? No, I kind of wish there were certain characters they hadn't nerfed, such as Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch was, for the older player, was such an OP character. By today's standards, I don't think she'd really match up, or if she did, it'd be kind of even type of thing. But stuff like that, I don't know. I think a lot of things change that necessarily shouldn't have, in a sense. While I do still enjoy the contest, as seen by me still playing it, and there still is a lot of content I can do. For example, I haven't really touched any of the back issues at all, even though they've been out for a while. Or even I haven't finished Labyrinth of Legends. I've gone through a run or two, but I haven't 100%. And I know the rewards don't really apply to me now, and I should just be able to finish it as soon as I get the time to do so. It's still fun. And I remember seeing all these things come out, back issues, Labyrinth, Abyss, and just seeing the excitement around them and stuff, and the enjoyment people got from trying it the first time and watching the live streams of the initial speed runs and all that stuff. I found that very enjoyable through my experience in the contest. And I hope other new players see that as well, being able to find YouTubers that they enjoy watching, regardless of who it is. Whether it's Legacy or Barrowman, or if it's, again, going back to older ones like Rizzo, that still make videos. And seeing the enjoyment in it, and being able to learn from those people and connect with them, and just kind of keep pushing each other on in the contest. But yeah, that's kind of my current view on the contest. Another thing is, like everyone says, the top players getting further and the lower players, the gap is becoming more and more distant. Yes, the game is free to play, but you always do have an advantage of paying to win. While I do agree that there should be an advantage of paying, I think it should be shortened a little bit. In the sense of, again, this past 4th of July one, if you paid a certain amount of money, you could be further character-wise. Again, account rating will be a little different, that takes time. But content progression and character-wise, than someone like me who's been playing for 7 years, 8 years, whatever it's been. But I do think there should be an advantage to paying. But for example, top players in the world. I'm never gonna catch up to Magnus. It's not really possible unless I spend tons of money and tons of time of the day, which I don't really have to be able to do, and just spend that time in that top tier alliance. Nor would I really want to. I don't really try to become a top tier player. But it would be nice if there were something for the other players to kind of compete for, in a sense. Again, I know Legacy and Brian Grant, they are very top tier players, such as their rating and stuff. Brian Grant's, I think, over 4 million now. I'm about to hit 3 million, so it's not like I'm a low level player by any means. But it does take away that sense of competitiveness in nature. I mean, I do understand I'm more of a casual player, and there are people that are more competitive. Works with me. But even if I wanted to be a more competitive player, I can't particularly compete and reach the top. Kind of an unachievable goal in a sense, unless I had a certain amount of funds to be able to push me further, as well as available time to spend on the game. Nothing against the people who do that, but I think there's a disconnect there that the developers, I don't know if they're aware of or not, but it's a little hard to go back and fix in a sense. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this kind of rant style video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. This is kind of my views on the current contest as we've seen it. And subscribe if you're new. Like the video if you liked it. I'll leave tags down to all the other YouTubers I mentioned in this. You can go check them out. Give them a subscribe and follow. They're, again, much better players than I am. And I hope you guys enjoyed.